The Cranky Sun by Jerry Kramsky and Lorenzo Matati. Once upon a time, there was a little village named Underwind where fantastic things happened. Underwind was famous for it had two extraordinary attractions. There was the Garden of Sweets, in the middle of the village was a special clock. It was at the very top of a tower where everyone could see it. Tick, tick, tick. It never missed a stroke. The villagers believed that the clock controlled the sun, for when the clock said noon, the sun was overhead, and when the clock struck midnight, the sun was always gone. But one day something went wrong. The clock chimed the nighttime, hours as usual, but the sun, well, looking very cranky, she stayed up in the middle of the sky. An old gnome named Solly lived inside the clock and was in charge of its works. It was he, so the people thought, who gave the clock its power over the sun. The truth was that he was just a mechanic who greased the clock's parts. It was always dark inside the clock tower, and Solly always went to bed when the chimes rang 10. The night the sun got cranky, Solly hung his hammock between the gears as usual. Tick, tick, tick. Soon, Solly was fast asleep. How was he to know about the behavior of the cranky sun and what was happening outside? In the streets, however, everyone was worried. "Look at the sun. What's she doing up at this hour? Hey, what's going on?" Although it was now midnight, the sun shone brighter than ever. The grown-ups who were not used to this sort of thing grumbled to themselves. The children, on the other hand, up past their bedtimes, were very excited and ran about, overjoyed. That same night, an old vagabond arrived in the city. All his life he had lived in parks and fed the birds he found there. He had become so friendly with the birds that he even learned their language. As he was sitting under a tree on that brilliant evening, a seagull landed in an overhead branch and said, "It's all very strange. The sun, for some reason, has gotten cranky and absolutely refuses to go to sleep. She says she won't take orders from the clock anymore. What does she mean? It's crazy." The vagabond got up and ran to tell the mayor what he had heard. The townspeople began to panic. A day that lasted and lasted, surely that could not be right. The town would get too hot. When would anyone get a good night's sleep? The mayor called a meeting. "Someone must be found to reason with this cranky sun." The first one to try was Polo Pom Pom, the noted composer and singer. Accompanied by violins, guitars, and lutes, Polo Pom Pom sang out to the sun, "Listen, Miss Sun, you're making me sad. I sing about moonlight in every song. With you here, the moon won't appear, and my dear, that is wrong. So go to bed, Miss Sun, and make me glad." But the sun stayed put in the sky. Perhaps she didn't hear him. Perhaps with reason. She didn't like his song. When they heard the word moon in the song, everyone started thinking of astronauts. So they called in a team of space explorers. Like acrobats, the astronauts hurled themselves toward the sun. They called out, "Hey, you sun! You must go to bed. With you around, we can't see the stars. How will we navigate?" The sun replied, "More orders, humph!" and only glowed brighter. The astronauts, afraid of getting burned, returned to the town, defeated. Then came the wise scientists. They built themselves a ship that looked like a flying ladle, equipped with very intricate propellers. They approached the sun and began to talk in very complicated terms. Finally, the scientists ordered the sun to go down over the horizon. The sun bellowed, "Silence! I am tired of everyone telling me how to behave. That clock in the village rings, and you expect me to do what it says. Enough of all that. I'll do what I want." Never having expected that the sun could talk, the scientists retreated in confusion. Who could reason with the sun? The local poet tried. He had such a long neck that it was said he lived with his head in the clouds. Obviously, he would be the perfect one to approach the sun. He attempted in his mild way to write a poem begging the sun to set. Unless she went to bed, people couldn't sleep anymore, and all dreams would disappear. He became so overwhelmed with sadness that he began to cry and never finished the poem. The town robbers were the most upset of anyone. With so much light in the sky, how could they hide in the shadows and steal from people? Really, the situation with this cranky sun was getting to be most impossible. In desperation, the town called on a man who claimed he could train the clouds. He was a fantastic character with a winged whip. He said that if the sun would not set, he would train all the clouds to gather in front of her and block her rays. As it turned out, he was a faker. The clouds went on their way, blowing across the sky, and paid him no attention at all. Eventually, all the people in town tried their own solution. The local cook, for example, offered the sun a wonderful meal of seasoned spaghetti, if only she would sleep over the horizon. Nothing worked. But in the end, it was really quite simple. One day, a small boy, on his way home from playing yet another long, hot game of ball, looked up at the sun. "I'm really tired," he said. "I'd like to go home, hear a story, and go to bed." He rubbed his eyes and glanced at the sun. "You must be tired too, huh?" That's all it took. No one had ordered the sun to do anything. No one had rung a chime and expected the sun to be in a certain place at a certain time. The little boy was tired and thought the sun might be tired too. Hearing his gentle suggestion, the sun realized that staying up so long had exhausted her. Within an hour, she stopped being cranky and went to bed. The townfolk were surprised and full of wonder. Why had the sun decided to set? Had someone said a magic word? The little boy slipped into bed and was soon fast asleep in his darkened room. The stars came out and shone through the window. The constellations were brilliant and easy to pick out. But where was the moon? Could it be possible that he was refusing to rise and glow? But that's another story altogether. I just want to say that we are going to be talking about the sun as if the sun really was a person with feelings and really was controlled by a clock. And warm and neutral colors. The children have a background in that just from observing the storage in the art room. We have a box of cool color scraps, we have a box of warm color scraps, and we have a box of neutral color scraps. Today, we're going to be talking about warm colors. Orange, red, yellow. Today we're going to be talking about warm colors and cool colors. You know from our scrap boxes what they are. If you're going to decide to work with warm colors, you're going to be making perhaps the sun. And if you're going to do that in cool colors, you can do the moon. And we're going to start with the rays. We're going to be learning about symmetry, which is something that's identical on both sides. And the way that you do that is almost always by folding your paper. So I'm going to start by taking my sun and making the main rays being 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So I folded my paper in half and then in half again, and that gives me 4 sheets of paper. So when I make a cutout shape, all 4 of them will be identical. And that's going to not only save me a lot of time, but it's going to help me make my work symmetrically. I'm going to take only one of my rays for the moment and set the other 3 aside. Take a second sheet of paper in a contrasting color and again fold it in half to get 2 sheets, and one more time to get 4. And I'm going to take just that one ray, get glue on it, and paste it down right in the middle of my new paper. Take my scissors, and remember, I'm cutting through 4 sheets of paper, not 1. So I'm making 4 identical frames around the first ray that I made. Only one is pasted down, but I know when I paste down the second and the third and the fourth that they're going to fit perfectly because they were all the same. So let me paste them down. So I now have 4 identical rays, and all of them have a bright color contrast around the edges. And I'm going to paste them in the areas where the main hands on a clock would be 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. I'm going to paste them on the back, and you'll see why in a minute. That it was a good idea to make the smaller shape and then make the larger shape around it. It would have been impossible to make the large shape and then try to fit something inside it. So I have my first 4 rays, and I'm going to now make 2 between each one. This would be 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then back to 12. And of course, you know, we're not making a clock, but it's a great way to connect this to telling time. So it'll help you remember that as well. But we're using it just to even out the rays. I'm going to repeat what I did here, but I'm going to use different shapes just to keep it more interesting. And I'm going to make my small shape first. I'm going to fold it and fold it again. And this time I don't need 4, I need 8. So I'm going to fold it one more time and cut out my rays, and I'm going to paste them on a larger sheet of paper as well, which I folded into 8 equal parts. One fold makes 2 sheets, 1, 2, and then again, and then again. And you remember, I want to paste my smaller shape in the middle of the larger shape. The second one. Try to paste them on so that they face the same way I cut them out. You see those 2 little points? Tell me that they should face each other. Now, why did I make 2 extra eyes? 1, 2. Because These are going to be the eyelids. They're going to fit exactly in my eyes. I'm going to cut them in half, throw the bottom half in the trash. I don't need them. And then this is going to be my eyelid. I'm going to put it right on top. It's different when I make a mouth because I only have one mouth. So I have to make sure that the two sides are held together. So you never would cut off the fold. Cut the top lip and the bottom lip and decide whether you want the mouth closed or open. He didn't do a clock, he had another idea, which is fine. That's not finished yet, but I wanted to show you the tooth sticking out of the mouth. I like the eyelashes and the arrows. I think that's very interesting. We have a triangle, a wavy line, an arrow, a lot of variety in that sun. I thought this was interesting. Looked like birthday candles. This is not a clock, but it's a great sun. And we're going to be talking about symmetry